you were once told to have a backup plan.
I was.
First of all, when you were told that, what was your reaction? And secondly, did you have one after hearing that?
Well, I was in high school when that happened, and I had recently discovered this love for radio. The kind of the backstory to that is I had started applying for the Naval Academy because I love Annapolis. I had been there to visit. I was enthralled by that idea. I love structure. I'm pretty good in those types of situations where discipline is required. I love
Perfectionist. Yes,
of course, right?
Yes.
So I had started the process of applying for the Naval Academy, and I was really good in accounting, kind of that is it left side or right side? The analytical side of my brain. I've got both, and we've talked about the perfectionism. So it appealed to me that everything works out on the balance sheet at the end of the day, and I can go and I can serve my country. So I started doing that, not exactly sure how I would use it in the Navy, but figuring out, have a plan. And I got to the point where you're supposed to get an endorsement from a congressman or a senator in your state. And then everything changed. So I was living out in the boonies in Concord, New Hampshire. We were growing up in a place where we didn't have cable. We were way out in the woods. We had a bear that lived in our front yard. So we were way out in the woods. The only way I could listen to my beloved Celtics. So I cut my teeth on late 80s, early 90s NBA. So end of Celtics, Lakers, into the bad boys, and then the Michael Jordan era. The sad saps who never saw Michael Jordan play. Oh, no.
Bless their heart.
That's when I really fell in love with the idea that I could listen on the radio and still follow my team. It was that theater of the mind. Just because I couldn't see it didn't mean I didn't know what was happening. And so I was enthralled with that idea. And I started telling everyone, I'm going to be the first female Johnny Most, who at the time was the legendary Celtics play-by-play announcer. And so that's really where my radio junkie background started. But as you point out, there weren't any women who were doing it. And so I remember telling my high school principal, I changed the Naval Academy direction. I'm going to do this instead. I don't exactly know how. So I was reaching out to people. Well, what should I do? Like, how do I get started? And my high school principal said to me, he wasn't the only one. I think the pastor of my church said the same thing. Mm-hmm. Well, women don't do that. So you better have a backup plan. I can remember it as clear as it were yesterday. And I was 17 years old. Women don't do that. You better have a backup plan. Now, I was naive. And I don't think it's a bad idea to have a backup plan. I'll tell you why here in a second. But I decided, okay, maybe they're right. They're looking out for my best interest. So I went to Messiah College and I did a double degree, one in communications and one in accounting, because I knew I could do the accounting with my eyes closed. It wasn't a huge challenge. I was okay with carrying both degrees. Played basketball, started to work at the campus radio station. And as I got through a couple of years, I realized, I'm not polished now, but I can do this. If there's one thing on this planet that I can do, it's talk, baby. Yeah. I can talk. And so it became one of these things where I was like, oh gosh, it wasn't bad advice, but it really, I think, didn't have a whole lot of foresight to it or goals and dreams. I don't think they were trying to squish me, but they were believing that really it was going to be an uphill battle and they wanted to save me that trouble. So as I progressed through, I obviously went to Syracuse and got my master's in TV and radio. And that was really the catalyst that kind of launched me forward and gave me the tools that I needed. Not everyone goes to grad school. It's not necessary for everyone, but it was for me because A, I was a female, and B, I was flying blind. I had no one to tell me how to do it until I got to Cuse. There was this incredible man. His name was Don Edwards. He's since passed away. He had worked in CNN and some of the other major news networks, both on air, but also as a producer. Right away, he said to me, you can do whatever it is that you want to do. We will make sure that you can do whatever it is that you want to do. You have it. You have the charisma. You have the ability to talk. You have the brain. You have the humor. We will figure out how to put those pieces together and you can do whatever it is that you want to do. And from that point on, there was never a question. Now, I got fired twice. I got dropped from rotations multiple times. My mom came to me, I would say it was about 10 years later, my mom, who's my biggest fan. And she said, Amy, I had just been fired. How long are you going to chase this dream without anything to show for it? It sounds harsh. And my mom's blunt, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm all right with her just kind of putting it out there. She didn't mean it as, hey, you should give up. You're no good at this. What she meant was, how long are you going to be in a space where you don't have any money, when you're moving from place to place, you're chasing these kind of menial jobs or these small market jobs. All she said to me was, how much does it matter to you? How much is it worth it? Are you going to keep doing it? And I took a couple days and I thought about it and I wrestled with it. Ultimately, I came back to the place where this is what I was born to do.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't be happy doing anything else. Now, the accounting degree was valuable because it paid the bills on the side.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did do accounting jobs and had multiple jobs until probably I was in my early 30s because I needed that steady paycheck. And radio and media is just as volatile now as it was then. So that's the element. Another thing I would say about the business has changed. It's, that volatility
Yeah.
is very much in our face now, regardless of which medium you're in.